Welcome back, everyone, to OpenLine, talking about the special session in the General Assembly dealing with education. We have with us Beth Brown. She's president of the Tennessee Education Association, and Amanda Kail, president of the Metro Nashville Education Association, talking about these issues that are going to be discussed in the General Assembly. We have a bunch of calls, so I'm just going to keep going through the calls here. Let's go to Mary. Hello, Mary.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. And I'd like to say I agree with the callers who stated that teachers shouldn't be blamed for everything. But my question is in regards to the testing. And I'm a parent, and my children have graduated school. And I always thought that the testing just revealed how rich or the socioeconomic background of the kids. How many millions of dollars has the state of Tennessee spent on failed testing? And could we use that money elsewhere? And does every school have a nurse and a psychologist? Thank you.
Okay. Who wants to take that? Beth, I guess, what about those questions? Go ahead.
I can say the answer is yes, yes, no. We have spent an inordinate amount of money on standardized testing. And I can tell you, as a high school English teacher, I've given that test a whole bunch. I never get results back in a time where I'm going to be able to inform my instruction. So our system of using benchmark testing is actually much more helpful. She talked about, does every school have a nurse and a counselor? The answer is no, and that's certainly something that the Tennessee Education Association has been advocating for years, was the need to make sure that all of our schools have nurses and counselors, particularly now as our students' emotional and mental health needs are ever increasing.
And quickly, what they're talking about in the special session this year, are they saying we're going to do the testing but it won't count toward teacher evaluations? What is going to happen with testing this year?
The current proposal is to conduct testing and not hold the results against educators and students. They're also in the proposal for reducing the minimum threshold for student participation in order to generate a score report. The federal government says you need a 95% participation rate for the results to be even close to considered valid. The state is proposing dropping that down to 80%, which obviously impacts the validity of those scores. It's a huge variation.
Okay, interesting. All right, let's go to Kelly. Hello, Kelly.
Yeah.
Go right ahead. What's on your mind?
Okay, well, I have a couple things, some comments and questions about what's been going on. One of my questions is some of the students are getting, like at least high school, they are not getting their temperatures checked until after second block, which obviously if the child's already come in with symptoms, it is now spread further into the school. There are students that up until age of 13 are not required to wear masks in the school, which again can spread the virus. So that
where are you? Can I ask where you're calling from, Kelly? Where are you?
I'm in Sumner County.
Okay.
And where I heard that, there's not money for this and money for that. I know for a fact that Kentucky was able to obtain grants for each student to have Chromebooks. As far as internet, Comcast and AT&T were providing discount and even free internet to those families that are low income, so that would be able to be provided. As far as teachers and a shortage of teachers, I can assure you, as a former teacher of Sumner County, that we don't leave because of salary. We leave because lack of respect. We leave because we don't want to teach to the test. We want to teach to individual students' needs. And they're just always tested. There's spelling tests, there's pre-tests, there's chapter tests, unit tests, Ames Web, MCAP, MCOM, TCAP. When do you have time to test? That's not why we went into teaching, and that's why we leave. It's not about the money.
Okay.
And the other thing I was wondering about is a hybrid schedule so that students can come 2 days a week on one color, and then students another 2. That gives 1 day a week for cleaning and teachers to actually get together as a team and create virtual lessons for those kids that decide to stay virtual. And that can include videos and things like that. And that helps the parents, because if you have parents that have little to no education and they're expected to help their kids at home, this is more of an encouragement. They can learn alongside their students, and I think that helps ease that panic that they're feeling for their children's success.
Okay.
So that was it. Thank you so much.
Kelly, thank you. Amanda, let me ask you, I mean, I know that's Sumner County, it's a different county, but she's talking about the, what is it, staggered learning or whatever? Yeah. What about that in Davidson County and just her comments in general there?
Right. Well, in MNPS, we gave parents the option to choose either virtual or in person. And part of the reason that the district decided to do it that way, as opposed to a hybrid schedule, was looking at a lot of the difficulties in neighboring counties. So, for example, in Rutherford County, educators there were doing both, right? They were doing a hybrid. They were teaching online and in person simultaneously. And what we have found is that is just really overwhelming for educators. It's extremely difficult to do both of those things simultaneously with children. I mean, those of you who struggled through Zoom meetings, imagine trying to, teach a room of kindergartners and also get them online and troubleshoot all of that at the same time. And we also had issues about equity, because we wanted to make sure that those students who were online were getting just as good and just as dedicated a delivery of instruction as those that were in person. And we didn't feel, in talking with the district, that we could do both of those things simultaneously. And so ultimately, that's, I think, part of the reason that we at MNPS have not done a hybrid schedule. I think also, it was a way for us to guarantee that people are being kept safe. Our COVID rate was just very, very, very high. And so if you're coming in sometimes, it might reduce your risk a little bit, but it's not enough to what we want is for the virus to go down low enough that we can all go back in person. And so it seemed better to just reduce the number of kids in school, period, so that we could get, more to that.
And it sounded like she had some concerns about when their temperature was being taken and that kind of thing. We have so many calls. I'm just going to go to the next call. Let's go to Jessica. Hello, Jessica.
Yes.
Go right ahead, Jessica.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Hi, yes. I think my question is really more appropriate for Beth Brown. Just the specifics of my question. I have 2 questions. My first question is regards to accountability. I know there's been a lot of talk with the accountability measure and your 3 through 12 testing. But my question is about, more portfolio, these pre-K, K, some first and second grade teachers who are having to administer the portfolio. Is this even being talked about in these accountability measures? And on the accountability measure as well, most teachers have already been evaluated for the first half of the year. What's going to go on with evaluations from this point forward? And then my last question is about what the governor has talked about with this learning loss and this Read 360 program that he keeps mentioning. Does anyone know if this is a full ELA curriculum or merely a phonics curriculum? Used to discuss holding back kids in the 3rd grade. Why isn't it being discussed as to each year they be assessed with this program? If we're not meeting kindergarten benchmarks, why are we not starting in kindergarten to look at holding them back? And then if they are held back in kindergarten, we look at special education referrals instead of us waiting till 3rd grade when so much learning and so many things could have been attacked before that 3rd to 4th grade mark.
Okay. All right. That's a very detailed question. All right. We have to take a break, and then we're going to come back. I want you to answer that because that's a great question, obviously. All right. Take a break. Be back right after this.